All right.
Nice.
Have a good show, guys.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. You should do producing for us.
You fucking
It's time for Bourbon with Friends, the bourbon podcast that never takes itself too seriously. Pull up a chair, grab a glass, and remember, a bourbon with friends can change the world. Here we go.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Bourbon with Friends. Myself, Adrian, and Martin are here to talk about whiskeys from around the world and how a bourbon with friends can change the world. How are you guys doing?
Good. These chips are really good. Sorry.
Doing
What we doing?
good. What are you eating a potato chip right now for? Good grief.
Right before you're doing a tasting? That's a smart idea. You're a genius.
It's got salt in it. Oh, that was good, man. Good weekend. Good hangs. I actually saw a buddy, that someone that I would consider family, even though I haven't seen his. So hold on, let me repeat that. So I saw one of my good friend's brothers, who I have not seen in about 18 years.
Oh, wow.
At the bar yesterday. So that was pretty cool. So I actually
Nice.
got to hang out with him yesterday for a little bit and catching up on life and whatnot. How about you?
Adrian?
Yeah, I had a pretty low-key weekend after the last couple weekends I had. I just, made some cocktails at Edwin Co., and that was about it.
I'm
So,
still recovering from surgery, so I'm not moving very much.
Yeah.
Yay.
So if you guys
but
noticed,
we're glad you're here.
we're
Yeah.
glad you're here.
What?
You're fighting through it, man. You're fighting through it. You look good. You
Yeah,
look like
no
you look
meds.
like you're on the ups and ups. And is that how you say it?
Up and up.
The up and up. Is that how you say it? That's
The up
cool.
and up.
Well, we have, speaking of, I just realized I did a lead in without even really intending to do it that way.
You did. I was just going to remind you of that. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Speaking of brothers, we have Deondra Randle, Brother Whiskey. What's up? What is
What's up,
happening?
man?
Yep. Well, we'd love to talk to him, but he put himself on mute.
I know, right? I wasn't sure. How's it going, everybody?
Good.
Good, man.
Really good. Really good. Happy to have you here for sure.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here. It's a Monday, and we get to drink whiskey
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do.
and
Yep.
with friends, right? So
Yes.
why not?
Makes it rounds out the Monday really nicely for us most of the time. So
Yeah.
Just a little extension of the weekend.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, what's better than drinking whiskey after you drink whiskey all weekend? So,
Absolutely
yeah.
nothing.
Show off drinking whiskey
Yeah.
on the weekend.
kind of fun.
All right. So Deondra, tell us a little bit about your story. I saw obviously that you are more of a corporate level businessman, but how did you get into whiskey? How did it all get started? I think you're muted.
Is he muted
Dear.
again?
I promise I'm not doing that on purpose at all. I didn't even reach to touch.
Joe?
So I am a corporate guy. Definitely a corporate guy. But that is what brought me to whiskey, first and foremost. So just like navigating throughout the corporate landscape, I am an engineer. So I'm an engineer, and I was in the railroad space for a good amount of time, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
So doing design and all the engineering things for trains in engineering. But those guys like to drink
Yeah.
a lot. So coming out of college, I kind of drank a little bit of, whatever I could in that space, just drink whatever you can. But then outside of that, everybody in the railroad space or engineering space was really just drinking a lot of whiskey, and I didn't know a lot about it. So I would go to these functions, these networking events, or company events and things like that, and everybody's talking about, oh, I have this 12-year Macallan, I have this, I have that. Oh, it's finished in sherry cask, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
nice. But I didn't necessarily understand what it was, so I couldn't necessarily kind of join the conversation, so I wasn't able to communicate much with my my counterparts. So I took that engineering side of me and I learned everything I could about whiskey. Delved into the depths of it, the distillation process, the barreling, what the difference between a toast and a char, all that kind of stuff, just everything about whiskey. And then I started to push that narrative out to people that I knew also, so that they could understand it and into the circles that I frequented as well, so that we could build our own network. And I know I wasn't the only one that felt like my knowledge was lacking in whiskey. So somebody else needed the information that I brought to myself. So I started to push that to everybody else and do events and all kind of stuff like that and tastings. And so that kind of developed into Brotha Whiskey itself. So I was the persona of Brotha Whiskey, which is why it says established in 2019, because that is when I took on the persona of Brotha Whiskey. And then that grew a lot larger into a whiskey itself. Which is where we are today. And then I identified a gap for a premium Black-owned whiskey, especially something that's craft in this new space. There's a lot of new weeded whiskeys, fully weeded whiskeys, 95% weed whiskeys and things like that. They just created a category for it this year or last in Spirits Awards. So now there's an actual wheat category, which is great for us. It's definitely not crowded, so we don't have to get in the bourbon lane or the rye lane where everyone else is. We can kind of get here and kind of grow on our own. So that's how I jumped into the space specifically, a little early, like just a story. Short story.
No, that's a great story.
That's awesome. And it's crazy
what we were looking for.
It's crazy how fast it can go from a mild interest to a hobby to what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
It goes really quick. I can agree with you. I worked for a tank and rail car manufacturer when I got out of college, and those boys like to drink. They like to drink. So yeah, I definitely know.
I just drove a tank in the military, so I get it. Yeah. And we just drank. So I'm a little curious on why weeded. What was the purpose of weeded comparative to all the other blends that you could have done out there? And why this specific blend that you have? So it's 95.5, correct?
Yes. Yeah. 95.5. So honestly, just being able, like COVID, I got to taste a lot of whiskey. A lot. I had just an immense amount of time on my hands during COVID, and I was just sitting in the house, and we got to just drink and try everything.
Here's to that.
Yeah. All the tariff walls came down. We got to try stuff from other countries that were shipping it in, So it's like I got to go around the world in my apartment and do whatever I wanted as far as whiskey, and then do all the videos and tell everybody and talk to everyone, right? So I fell in love with weeded whiskeys then, because a lot of the premium whiskeys now and in the past have a wheat component, but they use wheat more so for flavor and finish. So I had some whiskeys that had that wheat component, and I tried the same whiskey without the wheat component, and then I tried it with the wheat component, and then the wheated always won to me. So it ages a lot better to me, and then there's more flavor, and it mixes with cocktails a lot better also. So it's not spirit forward in your cocktails. You're not going to taste all of the whiskey. You're just going to taste a little bit of the whiskey maybe, and you might even just feel the effect and not taste the whiskey, but feel and taste all of the cocktail. So that's a lot better for newcomers, and not just necessarily enthusiasts. That's a lot better for newcomers, especially because our whiskey is 101 proof. Right. So those guys that are looking for a great whiskey to mix, they don't have to drink a whole lot of, that's gonna put them exactly where they need to be. This is it for them. So that weeded category I loved, as far as I like the spice palette. I like tasting the oak in it, the dark berries, the caramels, all that good stuff. I can taste all of that in my palate. And when I started going through that process, it was just something that I fell in love with.
Well, I can tell you right now, this is the first time I've had a drink since my surgery. Actually, a couple days before my surgery. I made sure I did not have any medication today, so I could do a little sample of this and make sure I can try it.
Nice.
But it is very complex. Yeah, no, I'm not.
Just to show the bottle a little bit. Fun fact.
See you.
I got your sample, and I've recently moved all of this whiskey into this room, and your sample did not survive. So I thought, okay, I guess it's a sign that I need to buy a bottle. So that's what I did. I felt really bad. It was the only thing that it broke out of everything, and I thought, of course, it would be something that I needed. But anyway, I'm not mad that I bought it. That's for
Right.
No.
Cheers.
What was
I mean,
go ahead, Brian.
no, I just want to go over the sample really quick and try to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Martin, because you and I are pretty good at tasting notes and everything like that. And I want to get Deondre's perspective on our tasting notes and Adrian's as well, because she is getting a hell of a lot better and growing into whiskey like
Got
everybody
some
knows.
nice legs for sure.
Thanks. I try. Oh,
But
I want to get the notes from everybody and get your opinion, Deondre, on how we're doing this, because usually Adrian usually just jumps on the website and Martin and I pick out the notes out of it almost completely, and we have no idea what the fuck we're talking about half the time. So.
All right, let's see. I can do that.
There's like what is that?
Let's see. Let's go to the home page.
I don't know. I'm getting a dark leather with like toffee and almost
borderline like coffee.
I was gonna say coffee and licorice.
Yeah. Licorice for sure. I think that's the one I was trying to pin down. It's got that almost sour note, right?
Are you saying, is this your nose or your palate?
That's just the nose.
Okay.
Just the nose, yeah.
Yeah.
I can read it too if you want to hear what it says.
Like a
For the nose?
like a clove
The
spice.
nose. Yeah. There's a really beautiful cocktail on this webpage too. It's really pretty, the cocktail that's on here.
And it reminds me, especially because I think maybe this is just one of those, like, because it's happening so much recently, like, you know, like when people, like my sister does it, where she'll get like the little, like around this time of year, she'll put like the cinnamon sticks and like the apple slices and like all that kind of thing, and let it kind of like be like an aromatic thing. That's what I'm getting right here. I'm getting that with this.
That's what I put in my furnace, and it smells great.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm getting. Yeah. Like
I love how you mentioned the I don't know how I want to say it, like the mixability, I guess, for cocktails. I like how you said that, because I can see why I love making cocktails, but true story, I don't drink a lot of cocktails because I just drink whiskey like this most of the time. But I have made, I've made a lot of different stuff, so this really would be, and it would be great for cocktails. And also you mentioned like the proof and how like it could be something that it could bring people to whiskey. And a couple weekends ago, I was with some friends, and there was somebody there that was not a big whiskey drinker, and we were trying to look at our friend's collection to pick something out for her to drink that wasn't a crazy proof, that would have been something easily palatable for her to try. And it was a little bit difficult to find something for her, but this would be really good for that. I think this would be really good to bring people to whiskey for sure.
Yeah. And I like, we were actually even talking about it recently, just having that like 4 cocktails. People would be like, oh, well, it should be those kind of lower proof things. It's like, no, I think it always has to be above 50%. To really shine through, in the kind of in the mix there. But I'm kind of curious. You said that you sort of fell in love like with the weeded thing, and I always feel like it's almost the opposite sometimes. Usually people fall in love with like the rye side of things, because maybe it's more of the prevalence of rye, especially nowadays. Do you remember the exact weeded that it was that kind of sparked that made you fall in love with it?
Honestly, no.
It's just,
do you have
a lot of R&D happens since then.
I do have some that I like, but I don't remember the specific one that actually made me fall in love with them. Honestly, because once I found out that I liked weeded, I went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of them, like the Boheims and honestly, even some of the shucks. Yeah, I went down Mr. Pleasance and
there we go.
Yeah, Mr. Pleasance and Boheim's, and I've literally went down a rabbit hole. So I've tried it probably almost all of them. And just whether they're the same, similar mash bills, the same mash bill or whatever it is, I've tried to go through all of them just to make sure that I'm covering my bases. And like I said, that's just the engineer in me. I just want to make sure that it's on the market, and when I taste it, mine is still more palatable or comparable when I am the judge at the spirits competition in my eyes. So
right.
I want to make sure that, I'm doing everything right because I want to stick in the weeded lane. And it's crazy because I live in a rye region. So I live in Maryland. So I live in this rye region. Everybody's like, oh, so it's a rye. No, it's wheat.
That's where I'm at, is the rye land. I'm in rye land right now. I haven't tried a lot of weeded, but what I have found is in trying some new weeded stuff, for me, I know I have confused it with rye before just because has a little bit of peppery sometimes to it that rye has, but it's not, this is far more smooth, I would say. It's not as bitey as a rye is.
I think it's always dessert notes for me with weeded whiskeys. Like I get like the vanilla ice cream. You get even like a little bit of that kind of like like when you have the ice cream that has coffee things in it or like something like that. Like it's got
that's what I was getting was toffee. It was like vanilla bean and toffee combined.
I can read the palate. A rich blend of sweet toffee, spiced oak, and caramel, balanced with ripe berries and a whisper of cinnamon.
There we go. We got close.
Yeah,
we got close.
You guys were hitting it.
I'm not that good, Deondra. I am not that good.
Also,
to
be fair, I have been drinking weeded whiskey all week, and I was at a distillery on Saturday, and their whiskey they do is primarily weeded. So I feel like I kind of prepped myself for this. So
where were you? Did
Journeyman.
I guess I didn't realize their stuff was predominantly weeded. I didn't know.
Most of it is, yeah.
Always based. They have a lot of weeded whiskeys,
yeah. But yeah, no, this is delicious. I like this. I'm gonna get a bottle now.
Thank you.
I'm on my second pour, FYI.
What's the significance in the labeling?
Oh, so I'm glad you asked that question, actually. So I rarely get asked that question. People are like, oh, I like the bottle, I like the packaging and everything, right? But so the label, the Brotha whiskey, it was actually one of my friends that is a local artist. He actually designed the logo. So he designed the logo back in 2019. He does a lot of stuff in the DMV area. So that was designed by him. And then in the background, it has the stained glass window, which is very significant. So when I started doing videos, like reviews and stuff of whiskeys and things of that nature, like back in that COVID era or before, I was doing it in my old apartment. So imagine behind me being my front door, and the front door had a stained glass window on it.
Awesome. I could tell that's what that was. I wanted to ask.
I like that.
Yeah.
And because the tape on the side here and then on the front around there. Yeah,
absolutely.
I love that.
So it's like the story behind the brand. So I put the stained glass window behind the logo and the brand and all that stuff. So, those are the colors, and the two glass, which kind of signify fellowship, because sometimes I do drink whiskey alone, but sometimes I drink it with friends. I'd rather drink it with friends most of the time, but I'm definitely going to drink it alone. But so everything on the actual logo actually has, significance. So there's not one thing on there that doesn't have significance. And before I tell you that, that was
okay. So it would go off of your quote that you have on your website, a legacy that transcends generations.
Absolutely.
Because you have the generation of when you started to where you're at to where you're going, right?
Yes. Yep. And and also there's probably on the website as well that says that we're a brand that's built off of journeys and stories and shared stories. Because I did not originate here in the DMV area, but this is where I chose to be at home. So I'm originally from Portland, Oregon.
Oh, nice.
Way completely on the
opposite side of the country.
We can probably get to Europe quicker than we can get to Portland at this point on a plane, right?
Probably.
So yeah, from the other side. And then I left Portland, went to college in North Carolina, moved around the country doing, professional work, all that good stuff. So I lived in upstate New York and Boston, and I spent a little bit of time in Utah and everywhere, Maryland. And now I'm down here and I moved to DC, and now I'm in Maryland. So
nice.
I thought I moved around a lot. like I've only been in 4 places, but that's cool though. No, now I know you said that the vision's the weeded thing, but has there been any like rumblings, any talks of doing any kind of other types of releases even within just the weeded realm?
Yeah, so within the weeded realm, I've been doing some experiments, which I like to do a lot. I do have some other releases that I'm cooking up in the background. Nice. Some different cast finishes and things of that nature. I do want to stick with weeded because it's really an untapped lane. It's really an untapped lane that I don't understand why people don't dig into it deeper, but I'm fine with that because I'll be the one to do it. So it kind of helps me stand out. So I'll stick with that myself, but I do want to stick into that weeded lane. And I'll probably work with a few other distilleries to do some barrel picks or things like that. And I do want to have a tasting room eventually. Don't have one yet, but aren't too many out here in Maryland where I am. So I plan to get one of those soon. Yeah.
No, there are not. I just started distributing out there, so I get it.
Yeah, there's just not much.
Do cigars and tasting room. I think that would be great.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm like, there's a bunch of bases out here too. So like getting on base and around a base, you can't live out here and not be within earshot of a base almost, honestly. So,
100%. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6? No, 7. 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Memory serves me right. Yeah.
Right. It's
crazy.
This is a lot of, and they like to drink too. So, and my first question when I'm doing a tasting, when I'm doing a tasting is like, so are you on base at Class 6 anywhere? I'm like, not yet, but soon.
Right.
Yeah, let me get there. They're like, okay. I guess I'll pay the taxes today. So
yeah.
That's awesome.
So with your name, with the name Fellowship, it makes me think of, are you guys involved in any type of philanthropic work or work with any charities specifically, or would you like to?
Yeah, so I don't do specific work with a specific charity. So I do a lot of work in the communities. And do events and pair with those and sponsorships and stuff like that for community events and organizations and things of that nature. Because I'm community based. So honestly, I do a lot of community organization and I'm part of a fraternal organization that is community based as well. So I am in the streets with communities and do a lot of mentorship and stuff like that myself. And so now the brand does a lot of it also. So that is definitely a big part of what Brotha Whiskey is and that fellowship, just supporting the communities that are around us and that support us also. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well,
it's time, Martin. You got to ask that question.
It's time. So, Deondra, we, around these parts, sometimes we get nerdy with the whiskey, right? Which is the point, but sometimes we like to kind of break it up, ask something random. And I'll tell you how this started. So Adrian hates squirrels. And on our first recording that we ever did, she actually was trying to hit one with a broom that was in our garage while we were recording.
Not true.
And none of this is true. Actually, we don't know at this point how it happened because we've made up so many different stories. But basically, something on our very first recording when we took over as hosts had to do with squirrels. And then we just started asking random squirrel questions to our guests to kind of just break up the whiskey questions, right?
Okay.
So it's
for fun. It's all fun.
Yeah, it's all fun. There's no right or wrong answer to this, but there's awesome answers to this. So basically, the one that you get today, and I'm actually surprised we've never asked this one, by the way, if I can say that, because I figured we would have asked this one by now. But basically, your question that you get today is: if a squirrel was a superhero, would he be? What kind of superhero would we be? And would and I don't know how familiar you are with like comic books, but like, would he be DC versus Marvel?
Ooh.
Or would he be a train conductor?
He's really thinking about this.
I am. So, like, if a squirrel were a superhero, what kind of superhero would he be? And would he be DC or Marvel?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of the different superheroes first, right?
I don't think there's a squirrel man. I did Google that.
No, there's not that I can think of, at least.
I can't remember.
Not that I know of, at least.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I know there's like a cartoon one, but that's not like DC Marvel. That's not an actual superhero,
Yeah.
and that's probably
Yeah, his name is Rocky.
right. Right. So like,
His superhero power was that he could talk. So,
yeah,
No.
right.
He could fly.
Yeah.
Fly.
and he hung out with a moose a lot. So
Yeah. So I'm assuming that this squirrel, I'm gonna assume it's a flying squirrel, first and foremost. And I'm gonna also assume that he can definitely fly better than Batman, because he cannot, even with his suit and wings, right?
yeah,
I'm
going after.
gonna have to say Marvel, because Marvel comes up with the craziest superheroes out of
I
nowhere,
see that.
and
Okay.
half of them don't have actual superpowers. They
That's
just
true.
fight really well,
Or they make cool suits.
or they make cool suits. They always
Yeah.
have the best, swag, right?
Yeah,
Right.
real.
But type of superhero would he be? He has to be a ninja.
Okay.
Oh,
I love how he said he has to.
Got fucking real quick.
Listen, he has to be a ninja.
He has to be a ninja. He like lives in the trees, but it's like a big
A
treehouse
ninja
fortress.
flying squirrel.
Yeah, like a flying squirrel that lives in this treehouse fortress. It looks like a regular tree, but once you get inside of it, it's like a mansion. It's expansive, like it's like one of those things that's like a hologram that you like fly into the mountain, but there's a hole there. But
Okay, so you're trying to do like the Wakanda reference where they're flying.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay.
I love that movie. Are you
By the
kidding?
way, hold on. My reference for that was like, I thought it was like when you like the Keebler elf commercials, like where they stuck their head in the tree and there was just like a little world that was inside of it. Like that's where I was going with it.
Nice.
Well, you said hologram. That's how my brain went.
You know.
Yeah.
Plus, I've been stuck in a chair for 4 or 5 days, so I've just been watching every movie on Earth.
It's a good
That's
movie.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
he
awesome.
knows to ride. He's a ninja. So
He's a ninja. He's trained.
yeah, and all of his like weapons like shoot acorns or something like that. Like
Where are these? Okay,
But there are many ones.
where is he storing these? And does he have
His
a
mouth.
suit on?
He has to have a suit. He has to have the coolest suit. Not sure what it looks like,
Yeah.
but like he's not gonna store the acorns in his mouth.
Oh, he doesn't do that.
I mean, unless he has like
He can't talk normally. Like he
you're right. Like,
got a backpack,
you can't
right?
do much with that, right?
Like, we're man. Like what?
yeah, he can't do much with that. But I mean, yeah, unless he has like a never-ending stomach, like he can just store them and regurgitate them.
That's true.
That sounds disgusting as fuck.
Yeah.
It's
But
just very
interesting at the same time.
he just throws up acorns on people.
Right. I was trying not to go there, but
I'll go there.
shit. Now we're here. Now we're there. Right.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
This is such a good answer that I did not expect. This is so good. That's so
And
good.
look, you asked me about superheroes. I'm gonna take it there. My imagination is 3 years old. So
Oh
honestly,
no, you're good.
There's
I think this is going to be the ninja squirrel that takes over Brother Whiskey.
there you go.
and we got the title of the episode right there. So
Yeah.
that's awesome, man. I appreciate you indulging that question again. It's just kind of fun to, like I said, we can get deep into the whiskey and we'll get back to it obviously, but it's fun to come up with stuff. Also, do you guys know that there's such thing as a condiment man? Like I just found that out that there's a superhero. He's actually a villain in Batman's universe called Condiment Man, and I think he just like shoots like ketchup and mustard. Like Batman's like got technology. That's not going to do anything unless he's got a hot dog.
So he's like one of the rejects that didn't make it to film.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, like you barely know about him, but I just found out about it the other day. I was like, that's the stupidest super villain.
I
I
really
wouldn't even
hope
be
he's
scared
not
of him.
shooting Mayo.
Oh, well, you might.
Ew.
That's how he got condiment kids. So, I mean, that's...
Oh, hilarious.
This is how
Anyways,
we got canceled,
whiskey.
ladies and gentlemen. So normally we ask this question at the very end because it's something we all love and we're all adamant about, and we love to hear every single person's question about this and what's going on with it. Can you give us your favorite whiskey memory? It could be from a kid or it could be a spirit. It could be anything at all, like from wherever. It could be even a family member drinking whiskey that you remember. What's your favorite memory around whiskey or around a spirit?
That's a great question as well. Let's see. Let's sift through my whiskey memories. I will say one that actually stands out pretty thick is there's the Scottish holiday. Shit. I can't remember the name of the holiday, but I know what I ate and I know what I drank. Maybe you guys know and you eat haggis.
It's called the Highlands Day.
Okay, Highlands Day. So I had a bunch of coworkers that they were all Scottish or from London. They were all from over in that area, right? That region. And they were like, oh yeah, so let's go out. It's Highlands Day. Let's go out. We were in New York and we were all working, and it was a British company. So we're going and we're this bar, we're all drinking scotch and we're drinking. And then they're like, okay, so this is what we do on this holiday. And they're like, we eat haggis. I'm like, okay, I like everything. Let's eat. All right. I said, but what is haggis?
I wonder if it was Burns night.
Burns. That's what it is. Burns.
Yeah.
It was Burns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's been a minute.
Yeah.
Yes, it was Burns. So, and we're eating, and they're like, oh, so what is haggis? And they're like, it's like nothing intestines. It's like the heart, right? Or intestines.
It's basically minced meat
It's
and vegetables
meat
in the lining of a sheep's stomach.
Yeah.
But what is the meat? The meat is.
It's like a minced meat. It's like a ground, like kind of like a ground beef.
It could be a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they told me like originally haggis is like the heart or something, but they just can't sell it in the U.S.
No,
Like
yeah, you can't have it here.
Yeah, they can't sell it here, so they come up with a version of it. So I'm like, oh, nice. So that's what we had that night, and it was actually good. It was actually pretty good.
It is good. Yeah,
it's great. It was really good. It was good, and we drank a lot of whiskey that night too. So it was a new experience. It was a very new experience, but it was amazing. So we drank a lot of whiskey, a lot of scotch in that bar that night. That was a fond memory that I keep coming back to because I'm like, did I really just eat that?
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that, man. You ate something that's Martin's family's recipe, probably.
Yeah, So for context, they just don't go out and kill sheep, but
right.
Liar.
Well, they do. So, yeah. Okay, Joe. My parents are my whole family's from Scotland, so
okay.
So like they actually tricked me back in the day. The first time I think I was 5, the first time I ever went there, and they told me that it was meatloaf, and I ate it. I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" They waited like 2 years to tell me what it actually was. Like, when they told me, I'm like, "Ugh," but it was good, and I had it after that multiple amounts of times. So yeah,
it's actually good though. Yeah,
it is. It's not terrible, but
if I saw it on the menu and saw what it was, I probably wouldn't order it just because of what I saw. But then I'm like,
bingo.
I got to try everything once. So I'm like, why not?
Yeah,
it was good.
It's a good experience. If you haven't had monkey brains, you're losing out.
Ooh, I haven't done that.
Squirrel brains. That's the real
I
delicacy.
know, I know, right? That's exactly where my mind went.
I'm not going to ruin squirrels for you guys. So
superhero squirrel brains. Those are the best.
They just keep expanding.
Right.
So to end it, I'm going to shut up, and because that was just an awful thing for me to say at the very end, right there. Squirrel brains. Yeah, Martin, do you got something to say?
Ooh, do I?
Thanks.
I
someone?
do. So this is this is something we do all the time. This is our sponsor spot. Sorry, I want to say thanks to our sponsor. Obviously, as always, what we do, 10th Mountain Whiskey, guys, and you can find them on all social media platforms, as well as 10thwhiskey.com. Right now, guess what you can do, especially for the holidays? Why don't you go do it? Go there and get a discount if you put in BWF 15 for a 15% off discount, guys. It's the holidays are coming up. Go buy a hat, buy your family whiskey, for God's sakes. That's what they want. They don't want socks again. Nobody does. Well, I mean, I do. I actually could use some socks right now, but go to 10thwhiskey.com, get yourself some cool stuff, and then you can find them in 41 different states through online distribution, as well as 28 states across the country through regular retail distribution. And if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to them at 10thwhiskey.com. Again, I would like to thank 10th Mountain Whiskey for being the sponsor on the podcast.
Thank you.
That's one of my
All
best.
right,
Yet.
DeAndre, and I really want to thank you, man.
Yeah, honestly,
everything
man.
that you've done. This whiskey is absolutely phenomenal. I love the
really
little
good.
cup you sent it. I can't really turn that fast right now, so I'm gonna not try to pick that up. But I do like that little cup you sent us as well, because that's kind of really cool.
Mine's up there on the shelf.
You didn't break that too?
No, the cup I did not break.
Thank God.
I would hope not.
Right?
It's plastic. Hello.
Right.
You don't know what she's capable of.
This is also true.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, it's been a great conversation, man. Thank you so much for
really
sending those samples out. Yeah.
And thank you for everything that you're doing for your community around your area and helping out the local people and everything that you support and continue to do to this day. So thank you again. And well, cheers to you really quick. And then remember, everybody, a bourbon with friends can change the world. Have a great day or night.
All right, cheers.
Cheers,
y'all.
That's it for this episode of Bourbon with Friends. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a review to make it easier for others to find the show. You can also check us out on Instagram at BWF Podcast. Thanks for listening.